In today's video, I'm going to show you how to fix the annoying issue that we have when we go to turn the car off, the car does not turn off. And that's because the park position on the shifter, there's a sensor there that does not recognize that the car is in park. And so the car stays on. The car does shut off, however the electronics stay on. So there's a plastic nib, there's a rubber nib on it that over time deteriorates. It's a very common problem on the Mazda6, it's on the CX5 as well. The repair procedure is pretty much the same, except for the center console removal is a little different. So this is for the Mazda6. So anyhow, so in order to get started, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to remove this portion right here. You simply do that by prying this up using a flathead screwdriver with tape on it. You pry on the corners right here. That pops the other corners, the front corner. And then in the center, you put a screwdriver in here. There's a flap in here that you push this way, and then you end up pulling the unit up. Once you've done that, you want to remove the knob, remove this portion. Again, it's got tabs here, here, in the front corners. That comes off, and then what we're going to do is we're going to have to remove this whole console, the front console. And for that, there are 2 bolts in here. There's, I believe, 1 bolt in here and 1 or 2 more bolts in the front, and then this whole unit will be lifted out. This is also a good time if your shifter bulbs have turned off, have gone out. This is a good time to go ahead and replace the bulb in here as well. So when you do pull this unit out, you are going to have to remove the connector behind this center knob. So in order to get started, you pull this up like I said, and then you work with the screwdriver and remove the tabs in here. Let me get those removed and illustrate to you what they look like. So here you can see, this is a top view of the center console that I just removed. This tab here pulls out. And then you can see this is the tab that you're going to stick the screwdriver in from this side and to remove. And as you can see, it's off center, slightly off center. So it's slightly towards the right side of the knob. So once that comes off, then what ends up happening is you have this unit that will pull upwards as well. The hardest one was this one right here, and this is the one that goes into this hole. And you should be able to see that there's some marring that ended up here. But anyways, this is the one that you need to get a screwdriver into to be able to pull it out. Once this pulls out, the next thing to do is to pull this literally just like that and disconnect. The other thing is to disconnect this wire from the housing. Disconnect this wire from the housing right here. I ended up using one of these tools to do that. Then the next thing is to remove these pins right here. And as you can see, you pull out the center. Once you pull out the center with the screwdriver, they pop out. There's one on this side, and then there is another one on that side right there. Once that's done, the next thing is to remove these 2 Phillips screws I mean, and then that will help us lift this console up. So let me get those removed, and then I'll let you know what are the next steps to pulling the center console up. Just to give you a bird's view of what it is, it's this switch right here. Basically, there's a tab in here that goes bad. So, well, we'll get to it. Let me get the center portion here removed. So, after having pulled out those 2 screws and the 2 pins on the side, these parts right here pop out from this point right here. Same thing with the nib right here, pops out of this hole. So once I've got this and I lifted it off and beyond, I was able to pull this from this side with one hand, with the other hand down here, or you can grab from inside here with the two opposite hands, and then you pull towards you, disengaging it from the body. As you can see from this side, it's on here. You can see from this there are pins that go right here, here, and above. Same thing with this side. You can get an idea. 1, 2, 3. And same thing on this side. It pulls out all the way. Once you've been able to pull it up, then this will simply be pulled out towards you and up. Once that is out, then we will have access to this side. And in order to do that, we may need to disengage or disconnect here. And if you've got the vents like I do for the rear, simply this box will push backwards and will come out of that outlet. So I'm going to go ahead and undo these, pull this out altogether, and then try to pull this one backwards so that I have room right here for the plastic and not force anything. So the key is to be careful, be patient, don't be in a hurry. You don't want to break anything. In trying to disconnect the these things right here, one thing that I do want to point out is that basically in order to be able to gain access to the bottom, because you can only disconnect one of the USB port only, but not the cigarette lighter. In order to do so, you basically pop this forward. So you push the panel forward, and that allows you to have enough access where you're able to reach in and then be able to disconnect this backwards. So I just wanted to show that to you guys. In order to remove this cover, we are going to pop this tab right here, this tab, and this tab right there with a screwdriver, and we're going to be able to remove it. Our next thing is going to be to remove this. Before we're able to remove the module, we need to remove the pin that actually helps you disengage the lever while the vehicle is not cannot be turned on. So use one of these magnets. It doesn't have to be one of these magnets, but it can be anything. Or if you do it carefully enough, you just want to make sure that you don't lose that spring. There's a ton of places where you can find the spring afterwards. It's pretty open, but it certainly helps keep it in place. And this, as you can see, has two nibs right here. And when you look through, oops, this is kind of falling apart. But before I show it to you, you just want to make sure this is what the spring looks like. And when it is pushed through here, one arm will be visible in the hole. So you'll have to put a screwdriver in, push that leg, and then the upper arm will be on top of this, which you have pulled out. Once you push the bottom leg out of the way, you can then pull it towards you. So you just want to make sure the spring stays in there, and it's in this fashion. It barely passes the plastic on this side, and as you can see, the arm goes on the other side. So now it's time to remove the screws on the side and pull that unit out. The part number that's needed for the replacement shifter switch is KDY046040. I've decided to go ahead and fix the issue and see if it can be fixed without having to purchase a new part. So all I did is I took a sheet metal piece, a skinny piece, ended up bending it into a U shape, installed it onto the end of the plastic, the rubber nib that was sticking up, and then I went ahead and used krazy glue and baking soda. That combination forms a pretty hard, robust surface. I applied baking soda all over it, inside of that, between the rubber and the metal, the gap that was formed. I stuck some liquid, some of that baking soda in there, and just basically ended up dropping some glue in. It's fairly hard now. I'm just gonna let it sit for an hour. The switch still operates the way it should. So we're gonna go ahead and test this by installing it into the car without installing the rest of the objects. So I'm gonna leave that bay area open, install this switch, see if it works. If I can't, then I'll go ahead and order a new part. But the reason why I attempted to fix this was to give you guys an option to fix it yourself if you wanted to. So rather than throw away a perfectly fine part, other than that rubber component, I wanted to see if there was a way to go ahead and fix it. Other people have stuck on some plastic nibs that they just happen to have in play at home or in the shop. So just wanted to see if there was a way to fix this. So here's my fix. I'm gonna go ahead and install it and see how it works. When pulling this piece out, right here is a tab that you will pull down and you will lift up to release. Once that is done, then this will basically come out like this, and we will then unhook the connection down below. But as you can see, just wanted to show you that this is where the rubber piece has deteriorated. Sorry about moving the camera too much, but as you can see right there, that's where the rubber has gone bad. And once the car is in park, this lever gets pushed in. So this lever gets pushed in, this arm pops out, and it engages a switch on the other side, which tells the car I'm in park and allows the car to shut down. So this is the part that we're going to go ahead and either we have an option to replace this whole unit, or we're going to go ahead and figure out a way to fix this so that I don't end up buying a $78 part. So after driving for several days, the sensor is now working perfectly fine. So basically that rubber edge needed to be hardened up, so it's working, so I didn't have to buy a new switch. To reinstall everything, just put everything back in the reverse order. So I went ahead and reinstalled the cap. You want to make sure it's snug back on. The clips at all 4 locations snap in. You have to do a little bit of adjustment by hand. The next thing is we're going to reinstall the main body that goes in here. Here is the side view of that console. Basically, I have removed the piece that goes in here, which gets installed in here. We'll install those at the end. But when you do install it, you want to make sure that 1, 2, 3 clips that go into 1, 2, 3 location, and then the 4th clip, which is this one here, that goes down here, gets installed straight in. Let me show you where it gets installed. It's right there in this spot. So you just want to make sure that gets installed in correctly, and then this whole unit will get installed horizontally. So all 4 pins have to line up on both sides, and all you do is push the unit towards the front of the vehicle, and then we'll go ahead and set the cigarette lighter area into it. After that, we'll install the console with the armrest. Okay, so we've got this piece in. We've got the inside set. I still have these bottom pieces to do. Now we're going to go ahead and install the armrest. You just want to make sure. Oh, one point to note is this black pin that you see right there. This one right there needs to be installed from the outside on both sides. You can't see it because it gets hidden behind here, but pretty much the black pins that we removed from these 2 edges right there. So we're going to go ahead and start to install the armrest here. So just make sure that these cables are inside, and basically getting ready to install the armrest now. So basically, when you end up reinstalling this thing here, you have to make the vents fit the piping end. The other thing is, right in the center of these two screws is a small plastic nib that has to go into a hole in the bracket, the metal bracket. So you kind of have to slide it towards the front with your other hand behind here, so that you can feel and make sure that the end of this unit slides into the vent opening. So basically, once that is done, you will notice that it will end up sitting into its locations right here. Once that's done, as you can see, we're going to go ahead and install those two screws. Once we've got the armrest installed, the next thing in order is to slide this piece into place. You just want to make sure you do line up all of the tabs before you push down. So just visually inspect it, make sure it's all in place, and then basically you end up pushing it down. Once that is done, you want to make sure you have the connector connected to this piece right here, and that also that this bracket gets installed into this hole right here. Similarly, there is this cable that needs to get installed in here. Then this is what connects to your command knob. That's going to be in here. So I'm going to go ahead and set that in place, and once that's done, we'll come back to install the cover that goes over the center the handbrake. So before we move forward with the cup holder portion, we make sure that we plug both the cigarette lighter and the USB cable thing. You make sure that the prongs underneath get a picture of that. Let's see. Those 2 feet, they slide into a groove or an opening. They slide in like that, and they close up. So everything looks completely installed. So now we're ready to go ahead and install the center console portion. So when installing the portion, the cup holder portion, you want to make sure this plastic tab that just went down gets installed on the inside of the hole. And the reason is because otherwise it will bend outwards and this unit will not be able to sit down. But before you do that, you want to connect the commander unit into here. But since my unit is not working, I'm going to look into it a little further. So for now, we're just going to leave this open. So once you've got it all in place, you basically just push it in place and it will snap in, and we're all done. So that's basically it. Hopefully these videos have been helpful to show you how you can fix your parking issue that you have where the car does not turn off. It's not necessary to change the $80 part. That's the cheapest part that I could find. That was a Nissan original, Mazda original piece. So just some crazy glue with some baking powder and maybe a bent plate on the end of that thing will do the trick. So let me know if you've got any questions down below. Please like and subscribe as usual, and I'll do my best to answer your questions as soon as possible. Thank you for watching.